Hey, what's up guys, you got Crave here. So here are some action-oriented games that you might want to check out. So over the past 2 months, I've been into action-oriented games, and here are some that I can recommend. Well, some of them aren't shining examples of the genre, but I think they're still worth your time. Anyway, given that the Steam summer sale is ongoing right now, they're pretty cheap, so let's check them out. Strange that this game isn't on sale at the moment. Maybe the publisher forgot to tip Gaben, but it's still pretty cheap. Blades is an okay action-oriented game. It has the standard fare of combo moves to mow down hordes of enemies. While combat can feel a bit floaty, it can still get exciting and you still get that satisfaction expected from an action game. The pacing is fast when you get into the thick of things. The main protagonist Ayumi can be a whirling dervish of destruction. When you activate her special time rewind ability, it's where things can get really hectic and, admittingly a bit confusing. Ayumi has some awkward voiceovers, and coupled with the so-so story, it brings the overall value of the game to a much lower level. The graphics are also dated, but that's given since the game was released some time ago. Still, if you can get over its shortcomings, Blades of Time is one game that you can add to your action library. The reboot or spin-off of the Devil May Cry series holds its own. You have a young, emo Dante discovering more about his past. He's a loner, but not the type that can't handle himself in a fight, given that it is Devil May Cry. In fact, he's cocky and skilled at slaying demons. He's also pretty stylish in the manner he disposes of his enemies. This game adds background music to match Dante's overconfident and emo attitude. The great thing about DMC is its action and platforming. The movements and attacks are extremely satisfying, and chaining combos isn't all that difficult. The platforming aspect is also very intuitive, whether using keyboard-mouse setup or your Xbox controller. While the story can be confusing and slightly lacking, it's the action mechanics of the game that really make this DMC game shine. If you're an extremely loyal fan of Dante from the original series, it might turn you off a bit, but if you like action games and stellar mechanics, then you should get this game. Enslaved is a very quick run-through, but it's an experience you'll remember. The action mechanics of the game are pretty standard. There isn't a whole bunch of variety to the moves you can make or your attack set. Now don't get me wrong, the hits are impactful, and it's the way motion capture was implemented that makes you feel the grit of combat. Because of motion capture, the facial expressions of the main characters, Monkey and Trip, shine through. You can see the intense expression of Monkey in combat and Trip's many different emotions. The platforming in Enslaved isn't all that difficult, mainly because you get the feeling you are being led all the time. Aside from ledges being highlighted, it often just feels like jumping around doesn't require any thought. It's great in terms of flow, but not in terms of engagement. Now, the story is the best thing about the game. It's typical of games that build on the relationship between two main characters. Monkey and Trip go on a very personal journey to learn more about themselves and how they fit in with the rest of the world. There is growth in their individual characters and growth in how they relate to each other. It's nice to see action games with strong story elements. If you aren't tired of stories of demons and angels and their love children, the Nephilim, then Darksiders is a game you shouldn't ignore. It's THQ's take on the war between heaven and hell and how balance should be maintained until the kingdom of man becomes a power in its own right. The first game in the series is all about Horseman War and his mission to clear his name for being framed for starting the final war among the kingdoms. This is a game where it has a great mix of all the elements that I personally find important in games. That's graphics, gameplay, and story. It's a dated game, so the graphics part might not be to everyone's liking. It's still great looking though, but don't expect it to be a challenge for your Titan graphics card. Everything else is, however, worth your money. The action and platforming mechanics all really work well. The fight sequences won't be as fast as DMC, but it's no slouch either. The weapon hits are felt when they connect, and the chaining of combos is satisfying to watch. The finishers, they aren't too flashy, but I guess it could be attributed to the age of the game. Understanding how you move to different ledges and platforms is a very fun aspect of the game. You are never presented with challenges which you do not have the tools to get through them. The story in Part 2 of the Darksiders franchise runs parallel to the first game. This time it's all about Horseman Death's journey and his attempt to free his brother War. You see some familiar characters from the first game, and you see other locations in better detail as opposed to War's journey. Darksiders 2 is all the great things about the first game and further improves upon it. The combat in the game is faster, and it's mainly because of Death's chosen weapons, his dual sights or dual skies. His attack set is very similar to War, but it maintains a certain uniqueness about it. The finishers are more pronounced and brutal looking, and his ultimate form is really amazing to look at. The platforming and puzzles are relatively, I guess I would say, they're relatively the same, on the same level as of the first game. It has the same setup where you gain more abilities and tools as you progress the story. Darksiders 2 is an excellent continuation of the franchise. What's great about it is that if you are looking forward for more, the third part in the series is expected to come out this year, and I'm hoping it does. We expect to see the brother's sister Fury unleash her magical abilities and prowess with a whip on her enemies. As a bonus, I recommend the Arkham series. I haven't really finished this one on PC, but I was able to play the series on the console when my wife was going through it. I decided to start with Arkham City, as I recall Asylum being a bit more enclosed compared to City and Night. Now, I'm only showing the footage for Arkham City, but the whole series is sitting in my library. The PC version is fantastic as it looks better and maintains the smoothness and fluidity of the combat from its console counterpart. So far, everything just works right. And there you have it, some games I generally recommend for the action-oriented genre. You have any other games in mind? Then leave them in the comment section below. Again, you got Crave here. Thanks for watching.